What is a major incident, Joe?
Well, Jane, a major incident is defined as a significant event which demands a response beyond the routine, resulting from uncontrolled developments in the course of the operation of any establishment or transient work activity. Another definition would be that of an incident or natural event that poses a serious and immediate risk to safety and includes a derailment of rolling stock, a collision, a fire or explosion.
So could it be, for example, that of multiple serious injuries, cases of ill health, or loss of life, or serious disruption or extensive damage to property, inside or outside the establishment?
Yes, Jane, it can be. However, any one of those events which, taken in isolation, may not warrant classification as major incidents, may do so when considered together.
Oh, I see. Shall we look at some examples? Then perhaps you can explain how one would go about managing such an incident?
Yes, Jane, why not? However, it becomes very complicated with regards to management, as each incident could be very unpredictable and will need help from different emergency services. For example, the Buncefield explosion, where a large fuel storage depot in Hertfordshire set alight on the 11th of December 2005 and burned for 3 days.
3 days, wow. What happened?
A number of explosions occurred at Buncefield Oil Storage Depot, Hemel Hempstead, Hertfordshire. At least one of the initial explosions was of massive proportions, and there was a large fire, which engulfed a high proportion of the site. Over 40 people were injured. Fortunately, there were no fatalities. Significant damage occurred to both commercial and residential properties in the vicinity, and a large area around the site was evacuated on emergency service advice. The fire burned for several days, destroying most of the site and emitting large clouds of black smoke into the atmosphere.
Wow, that's awful. How would you go about dealing with such an event, Joe?
Well, Jane, you would work with a number of emergency services. Depending on the incident, you would need to set up a command structure where there is a gold commander. They are the overall strategic commander of the incident. They will establish policy within which silver commanders. They support tactical commanders with resources they consider priorities and requests from tactical commanders. Then there is the silver commanders. They determine priority in allocating resources, to plan and coordinate when tasks will be undertaken, to obtain additional resources from the gold commanders, and finally, you would have the bronze commanders who will control and deploy the resources, implement tactics defined by silver commanders.
That sounds very complex, Joe. How does one know where and what they should be doing? And how would you then deal with the scene?
Well, Jane, you would need to set up cordons for the scene, and in a cordon where the fire brigade responsible for safety, unprotected or unauthorized personnel will be removed. Records will be made of persons entering or leaving the scene. Then the outer cordon where the police control access and vet all personnel at the rendezvous point. RVP and marshalling area are located inside the outer cordon, and finally you will have a traffic cordon where there is restrict access to the area surrounding the scene. It ensures free passage of emergency vehicles and prevents congestion.
Oh, I see. I think I'm beginning to understand now. Just one other thing, Joe. How do the emergency service communicate with any another?
Well, Jane, let's see. The police coordinate and liaise with other services. They use what is known as a marshalling area, where an officer from every emergency service will meet and communicate with others for briefing and debriefing.
My head is beginning to hurt now, Joe. Do you mind if we have a little break and a cup of tea?
No, of course no, Jane. I would love a cup of tea. Let's go.